Hi guys. So, see the seagull behind me? I think it's the same one that I photographed last time with the A1. The lake and everything behind at pet level. Yeah, he's just on his post again. That's where he was last time. Weather is ridiculous, which you'll see in a minute. I'm just going to go out. The weather, lighting and everything is very dull. It's a bit rubbish. Obviously the phone's not going to show you that, but I'm just going to crank out the Rx10 Mark IV because obviously that 600mm f4 lens is ideal for rubbish light, really, compared to like the f5.6 Sony 100 to 400 I've got on the A1. Obviously we've got ISO comparison differences, but at the end of the day I'm not going to get blustered as much holding a smaller camera as well. So it's, I'm guessing, 30 mph ish, maybe a bit more gusting. It's proper windy. There's even a tide, not that you can really see, but the water there is normally flat, lovely and blue and everything like that, and it's got its own tide by the looks of it. It's crazy. There's some big waves out there, but the birds that are sitting out there are just bobbing around like they're on the sea. So anyway, I'm gonna get out there and get blown to bits and see what happens. So that's the windswept look. Oh my god, crazy. Yeah, it's windburn is nuts. It's not really raining, it's just in the air, so there's lots of moisture being blown off of the sea and just in the air generally because of that, I suppose. I'm a bit damp. Hair is now, well, fluffed, I think the word is. I don't know, who knows, but yeah, might be a few photos there, not really sure 100%, but we'll have a look. I left the A1 in the bag. There's so much moisture in the air, your front element on the lens just gets covered as soon as you look that way. It wasn't so bad looking sort of east. It's obviously coming from the west a little bit. Anyway, so yeah, I can show you actually by the grass that's blowing. It's blowing that way. Luckily this car doesn't really move, it's so rigid. It's moving a little bit now, but it's not too bad at all in the wind, being quite aerodynamic. It's driving it in high winds is never really an issue. But yeah, so guys, yeah, probably the worst day ever to go out, and it's so windy, even the crow's struggling to fly. Yeah, but good fun. You know, it's always worth a go, isn't it? You know, you never know what you might capture. The only bad bit was the spray in the air. There was so much spray from the sea. Literally salt and moisture was getting on the front of the lens very, very quickly. So that was a bit of a downer. Obviously the birds and everything weren't really doing too much. A few birds flying around, trying to live life. As you can see, this one here is trying to stand up, but as you can see there, the Rx10's stabilisation trying to do its best to keep it steady. But yeah, no, I mean, it was performing well as it normally does. I even tried a bit of HFR with this crow here. But yeah, so that was quite funny as he just cruised past it. I have no idea what speed, but some of the birds are loving it. You know, they're playing up there, and you know, it's really quite cool to watch. You know, some of them are enjoying it. He was he was when he tried to land, obviously a minute ago, and landed on there, he sat there for 10-15 minutes and thought, stuff this, I'm not gonna move for a bit, and he was getting blustered like that. As you can see, his wings being kicked off. So I was shooting on sort of ISO 400 to 600, 640 or whatever, even 800 ISO, to get my shutter speeds up to sort of around 1/2000th of a second, f4. And you know, it was okay. The light was dull. It was crap, but still getting nice sharp shots. Still, even with the lens getting covered every few seconds with spray. You know, it's the new camera, wasn't it? It was replaced by Sony for me, and it hasn't been wet yet. So I thought, well, it needs to be christened. So salty water, that's always a good way, isn't it? Any jokes? It was just a little bit of spray in the air, either rain or things. So it's been wiped down since. There's Mr. Seagull, who seems to be there all the time. I think someone comes down to that area there, and that's why there's so many birds there constantly, that they get fed by some older people and things like that, maybe, which is, you know, it's nice. They know they've got some regular food going into them, so that's nice. They're relatively easy to get photos of, so that's good. You can see the two differences in darkness in that shot there. So one was a slightly lower ISO, this one was higher. That was like 800 ISO, the other one was 400. I was just having a mess around. But as you can see there, that water is normally super flat, lovely, really nice deep blue. It's still relatively blue, but it was just, yeah, quite sort of choppy, shall we say. But you know, it was, yeah, ridiculous. I mean, the ducks were struggling to fly. The one on the right actually veered off to the right and gave up and just landed again. This one, the one on the left there, carried on flying. These, I don't know what these birds are. I need to look them up, but there's a starling in the background, obviously, but the other one in the foreground. Lovely colour, but almost, you know, a nice bit of camouflage against the things there. This is where I had the trouble with major spray on the front element. Eventually it just gave up trying to autofocus on things. It just sort of hunted a bit. Token car shot that was absolutely filthy. The roads were grim, but soon washes off, so that's not too bad. This, I'm not going to say a duck because it's obviously a type of duck. I can't remember what they're called. But yeah, it was, yeah, struggling. It was, I mean, I was struggling for enthusiasm. This is quite cool. He can come into land and he splashed down in the puddle there, which was quite cool to watch. But I'm at sort of 600 millimeters f4, about ISO 800, and sort of 1/2000th of a second to capture that. Next shot was the other birds there as well. So just interest shots really, nothing too crazy. And then I went up onto the beach and got blown to bits. As you can see, the seagull here is struggling to fly. He was hating it, and I'm getting buffered to bits. As you can see, the camera's all over the place. So real struggle there. It got really windy. This probably isn't going to be very pleasant. Up and over the wall. Can't see much. Lots of big white waves though. So, as you can hear, well, heard, very windy. The waves weren't as big as I thought they were going to be, but it was just, you know, a bit crazy. I love this weather. I think it's fantastic. I mean, when it, you know, happens, as you can see there, the seagulls. I shot in manual. I always shoot in manual. As you can see there, so I have to just stop down a little bit. It sorted the exposure out, but I was wide open at f2.4. But as you can see there, autofocus still working pretty well, tracking those birds nicely in video. That was pretty cool. They were having a laugh, you know. They're flying around and you know, everything. Bit of slow motion, HFR, 250 frames per second there, but so much like moisture in the air. The air quality as such was pretty terrible. As you can see, it's dark. It's a sort of greyish, just a bit near. But I quite like this extreme sort of size weather. As you can see, I'm being blown about a bit. Big waves coming in. It's just constant push. So yeah, it wasn't particularly nice. As you can see, one other person on the beach and me. That was it. A few seagulls flying around. Still managed to get a few shots, but like, see, these are 100% crop in pretty much, most of these shots. So I've not backed out. I've left it at 100, so you can kind of see what the images are looking at, like, you know, sharpness wise and stuff like that. But obviously they're a little bit wider in the real world. You know, but you know, it's just experimentation for me. Days like this, I just go out and I try and capture something interesting or hopefully amazing, like we all do. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't. And again, another shot there, and then the last shot is just as I walk back, the car shot again, another car shot looking down, looked quite cool down the road and everything, and then drove home. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the little video. It was blustery as anything. It was a bit nuts. But still well worth going out and having you know, a bit of a laugh using the Rx10 for a bit. There will be lots more videos coming soon. I've got a couple of new mounts to go on the cameras, so hopefully a bit more sort of behind the scenes videoing going on as well. So I've sort of not really done much of that recently. Other than that, please subscribe, please get a little notification bell as well, and any questions leave them below and I shall do my best to answer them. See you soon.